I'm going to do a quick video on basically an appliance repair, I should say. I have a wood chipper. There's several things that have this type of tire, and it's pretty simple. They basically just have their own bearing built into it, and it goes on typically a 5/8 inch shaft. As far as the tires are concerned, these are air-filled. I've had this thing for a while, and as you can see, I'd have to replace these. But the bottom line is, more and more, I find that if you have this outdoors, you'll run over something like a stick or a thorn or something like that, and it'll flatten the tires, and then also they'll just go flat by themselves. So kind of the only thing you really need to know is where it says 410 by 3.5 and then by 4. So this is about a 10-inch tall tire, and what we're going to do is we're just going to pop this off. I ordered a different type of tire, and hopefully that axle offset and stuff won't be a problem. I don't think it'll be a problem, but anyways, the height is one thing, but I went with solid tires, so that can't happen anymore. They can still degrade over time, but I think they're a better choice. So the first thing we need to do is pull this off, and these are notoriously difficult to get off. And I also, because of this, I don't want to reuse them. So if you have two of these or something, but I mean, this is a short little pry bar. As you can see, there may be some other technique that other guys use to get these off. If they do, I'm not sure what it is. But anyways, I'm going to grab a pry bar. Wow, this thing's really on here. You can see why I would not use these again. These are manufactured and they're designed to not really come off. Yeah, this is really on here. I might even end up cutting it. All right, I'm not playing around with this. Obviously, when this thing comes off, it's going to be hot. But I heat it up to make it a little bit softer. I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. So that's much easier than fighting it. Just get it hot. Instead of using those, I like to use something like this. Now, the first ones that I bought were basically one piece and you slid it over. Don't buy those, and I'll tell you why. These are cut in the manufacturing floor, and usually there's like a sharp edge or a burr, and I had to grab a file and sandpaper to basically take this down enough that I could put the new coupling on. So get one that's split. It doesn't have to be exactly like this one, but get one that's split that should be 5/8, and that way it'll be a lot easier to take on and off instead of having to fight it like I just did. Now obviously the machine on itself is sitting on this, right? So I'm just gonna try and get it off. There's that little burr that I was talking about. So you can come back in behind with the pry bar as well. Probably be easiest. Definitely tighten a little bit. Clearly this is, you can clean this up with either sandpaper or something, but the bottom line is the two tires, this one is it's just so much better. There's a couple things that we could do. This one's got a bearing on it. I should say they all have bearings, but this one didn't come with any type of washer that I can see, but the new one came with a washer and a cotter pin. Now, the reason why you'd have a cotter pin is sometimes these are they'll be drilled out and you put it in that way. But in this case, I'm just gonna slide my washer on. Slide my wheel on. And as it turns out, we're in luck because this is gonna be a perfect fit. And then all I have to do is grab a hex key or an Allen wrench. And then we'll basically, I'm just gonna slide it on here, and then we'll tighten it up. And then this thing will be, it'll be good to go. All right, so I just slip it on, and then kind of want to make sure that there's no slop in here. Okay, so that is not going anywhere. We'll make sure that it spins freely. Yeah, we are good to go. So we'll do the other one real quick, and then this project's done. So this tire off. Again, a pry bar is kind of helpful. All right, good to go. So the repair took all of what? 5 minutes? Probably under $50. The tires themselves were about 30. And then I will admit, these are a lot more expensive, but they're reusable. So I most certainly am gonna pay for those versus one of these things. They're cheaper, but anyways, at this point, I never have to worry about this thing having a flat. So I'm just on Amazon, and I'm gonna look for that tire. So it's a 410 3.5 tire, so tire and wheel. So right there. And then you can see the 2-pack, that's what I would get. A lot of times I would, this one is obviously the one that no, this was December. I bought this one last time. I bought a different one. It's like bestseller, but I decided to go with the silver paint instead. All right, so these are the ones that I bought. But anyways, it's like, you just basically look at the specs on them. You can see that it had a cotter pin and everything. I could have got them in different colors. As far as pictures and stuff, it shows the overall height, width, all that information. The axle hole, that's 5/8 of an inch. And then basically just the specifications on them. And they're good for hand trucks and things like that. So, but the other thing that I ended up buying, these. So they're a clamp. So if you do a search on them, you'd say like a shaft collar or something like that, but this is 5/8 of an inch, and this is what I put, 5/8 axle split retainer. So you got a couple options here. You could go with just this style, which is basically these top hat push nuts, and I just wouldn't go with them because they're so hard to get off. That's why. This is another style. This is a split nut. It basically has only one on the edge, or I should say there's only like one actual split, so it's a little bit easier to clamp on. These also would have worked. They're just a different color. I just didn't want to wait because it was 2-day shipping, and then you could have bought any other ones like this. So the ones that you don't want to do, I would not get the single piece. Those are bad news, and I made the mistake of ordering those beforehand. These, do not get these. And the reason being is if there's a problem with the shaft, you can't get them over the shaft without either grabbing a file and cleaning off any burrs or any imperfections. The ones with the actual split on them are much more forgiving, so I would recommend that you don't buy these. Just buy the other ones and you'll be good to go.